Hi everyone, back to the More YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day, and it's all about Sky Sports and how they view the Premier League season that's going to unfold in front of their eyes. They had the gruesome twosome, a dynamic duo, depending on which side you sit in the fence, in the shape of Gary Neville and everyone's favourite hot lad, Jamie Carragher, who says he loves Newcastle, but it didn't look like you did, Jamie, to be honest with you. I'll get stuck into that in a minute. But they were given their season predictions, and surprise, surprise, one of them wrote Newcastle United off pretty much in terms of having a rubbish season. I think they said we'll be lucky to finish top 10. Find out who in a minute. Let's get stuck in. So, as I said, they were doing Monday Night Football, or MNF as they call it, to look cool for the kids. And it was Spurs and Leicester. Now, Spurs were pretty ropey, it must be said. Started out all right, and then Leicester come back in. Jamie Vardy scoring. I couldn't believe it. I text Mark in the game and said, how old is Jamie Vardy now? How is he back in the Premier League? I'm shocked. And he scored a goal and did what Jamie Vardy does best and shithoused after that as well, which was quite nice to see, to be honest with you. But after the game, or before the game, I can't remember exactly when it was, they gave their season predictions, and by the magic gadgets of StreamYard, I'm going to pull this up for you right now. So this is the two different opinion polls, so to speak, or predictions that Carragher and Neville came up with. And then you can see that there's one serious admission in Jamie Carragher's list, and that's Newcastle United. So we'll get stuck in. Let's go kind of from top to bottom, then we'll get to Newcastle. That's why you're all here pretty much. But Jamie Carragher thinks Manchester City will win the league. I don't disagree, to be honest with you. I think City are just too powerful, too strong. I think when the moments matter, City really step up, ramp into gear, and they get it done. I'm not sure Arsenal have that just to get over the line. I think Arsenal are a great football club. They've got some brilliant players, but I just don't think they've got that extra little something in terms of the centre forward position as well. I think they're lacking that area. When you've got someone like Erling Haaland, who's just a pure goal machine, that is going to help City get across the line, in my opinion, for the Championship. So I don't disagree with that. This is where I do start to disagree a bit. The second, third, and fourth, and then into the fifth and sixth. So Carragher has got Arsenal in second. He's got Liverpool in third and Spurs in fourth. And Neville has Manchester City in second. Surprise, surprise, his former club, Manchester United, in third. And then he has Chelsea in fourth. Now, this is where I disagree a little bit. So I'll look at Carragher's first. So I don't disagree with Arsenal, to be honest with you. I think they will definitely finish second. The third and the fourth positions are very interesting. So I think the thought process that Arne Slot is just going to walk into a job that Jurgen Klopp had done for so long and did it well. I had my disagreements with the way Klopp went on, especially towards the end of his tenure, called him turkey teeth on several occasions. I thought he was quite disrespectful to clubs and players, but he was a brilliant manager. He got the best out of his players. That intense press and level of football that he brought to the Premier League. He changed everything. He rightly so won Liverpool a first title in 20 odd years. He won the Champions League. This is the kind of thing that he does. You know what I mean? He was a great manager. He's having a big, long break now, and he says that's him done as a coach. Be interesting if the Barca Real Madrid jobs come up later on in the season. I wonder if Jurgen Klopp just pops back up with that big turkey teeth smile. But going back to Carragher, I don't think you can be as arrogant to think that Slot's just going to walk into Liverpool and all's going to be rosy and they're going to breeze into the top four. It may finish top four. I don't know, or they may not. But my personal take on Liverpool is I'm kind of more in line with what Neville's saying. I think they'll miss out on top four because I don't think it's going to be as easy a transition to bring Slot in as previously thought by Carragher and the rest of the Liverpool fan base potentially. I'm sure you'll give me shit in the comments. That's okay. But we'll have a football debate. If you want to talk about it, that's cool. But if you're just going to be an arsehole and give me shit in the comments, I'll flick you if you step over the line. As I always say, don't be a prick or you're getting a flick. I'll be on a mug soon, I promise you. Right. So go back to the situation. If Slot doesn't quite get it going, you've got to remember Liverpool have signed no players at all, not a single player yet. Now, they may have a splurge towards the end. I hear they're close to signing Mamardashvili in goal, which would be a massive signing. I'd livid if they sign him because I want Newcastle to sign him. He was brilliant at the Euros and he's been brilliant for Valencia. And I think having that strong goalkeeping presence for Liverpool off the back of Alisson in case he gets injured is a great thing. But is Mamardashvili going to want to sit behind Alisson in a pecking order? I don't know. But Liverpool lacking areas, I think. They didn't look great against Ipswich. Some of the players are coming towards that tail end of their career rather than the peak powers. So it will be a test of season for Liverpool. And I'm more of a line that they finish kind of in fifth or sixth position, really. So we'll call it fifth. Or we'll call it sixth. Let's call it sixth. Because I think Newcastle are going to finish in fifth. That's my prediction. I don't think we'll have enough for top four, but I think we'll finish in fifth. So that's where I'm going to put us there. But looking at Gary Neville's side of it as well, Manchester United and Chelsea. Chelsea, again, I think Chelsea are a basket case of a football club. The season barely kicked off and they've already got players revolting. They've got 40 odd players in that squad. Loophole FC, I call them. They're an absolute sham. And the Premier League's let them get away with it. They've played this system like a harp from hell. And the Premier League has let them get away with it. And the way they're treating some of the homegrown players in the shape of Conor Gallagher and Chalobah is disgusting. It really is. And Raheem Sterling's obviously kicked off. He's put a statement. I don't agree with his statement. That's modern day football for you because you've got entourages and people around you. You can't just be pissed off as a player. You've got to come out with a statement and a PR statement and all this other shit. But, there's already unrest there at Chelsea. And I think Chelsea's ability to finish in the top four really hedges on them getting a top centre forward. I think if they bring in someone like Osimhen, who I think Spurs probably should have brought over Solanke in all fairness, then they could maybe get top four. But Chelsea, I think, for Neville to be so confident that they're going to get in the top four, I think is a little bit premature. I don't think they're going to make the top four. I think it's going to be a struggle there. I really do. It's hard to predict. I don't really want to predict it myself, to be honest with you. So I understand why the guys have maybe rush some of their decisions here. But yeah, I think Newcastle United finish in fifth. I think maybe Liverpool finish in sixth. And then Manchester United after that. Manchester United, I don't think have got a cohesive squad. They've signed some players. This summer, like Xerxes scored in his debut. They've got De Ligt coming in, but couldn't get a game for Bayern Munich, really. It doesn't look the same De Ligt that was at Ajax since he went to Juventus. He struggled there as well, didn't he? Got turned inside out by a lot of top European forwards. So I'm not sure that the signs that Manchester United made are all that, really. And I still don't think Ten Hag is a great manager. He seems to have an ability to fall out with players as well. He showed that last season. And I think I'd be shocked if Ten Hag even lasts the season. I think Ten Hag might be binned by Christmas because I'm not sure Manchester United will hit the dizzying heights that Gary Neville seems to think that they are going to hit. This isn't the Manchester United of yesteryear. I grew up watching football in the 90s. I hated Manchester United under the Fergie era because they were so fucking brilliant. I hated them. They won everything. They had a team full of winners and a team full of quality players. Any Premier League 11 now, all-time 11, depending on your age, you're probably going to pick most of Manchester United players. Gary Neville will be in there right back most likely. But they're not that Manchester United anymore, and they haven't been for a long time. They're finishing two poor league positions. Yes, they've won cups under Ten Hag, but they're not a top four regular side. They're not good enough. They're not consistent enough. They've dropped too many points. They've got holes in their team. They've got players playing from way past the best years that they've had, in the shape of Maguire and Mount. These are almost reject players now that you couldn't give them away, which is what they're trying to do. Casemiro's legs are completely gone. Johnny Evans signed a new contract with them, didn't he? That shows you the quality they've got. Onana, the keeper, I still think is like trace and paper. I think he's a Rick waiting to happen. So I don't think Manchester United are strong enough to march in the top four like Gary Neville states there. So for me, I wouldn't put him in there. Now, fifth and sixth is again where we're going to argue because, Carragher's got Manchester United in fifth and Villa in sixth. I personally think Villa are going to struggle this season because of the Champions League. I think it's going to take it out with them and it's going to stretch the squad like it stretched us last season. I'm going to put Villa in eighth is where I'm going to put Villa for me. So I've got Newcastle United in fifth and I've got Villa in eighth. So I'm going to go Manchester City winning it. I'm going to go Arsenal second. This is where it gets tricky, isn't it? I'm going to go, let's have a think. Let's say, oh God, this is tricky. I'll maybe stick Liverpool. Maybe Liverpool just squeak in the top four, right? So let's say Chelsea third, Liverpool fourth, Newcastle fifth. Yeah. We've got Spurs sixth, Manchester United seventh, and Villa eighth. That's my top eight. That's what I'm going to go for, and I'll stick to it, right? West Ham is a European contender. He's totally written us off. His reason for writing us off, even though he says, I love Newcastle and I love Eddie Howe, he should be the England manager. That was a bit of a shithouse move, Carragher, because you're basically trying to, start that story again. And then he started talking about the centre-halves again, trying to fuel the Mark Gay story that Sky are running every single fucking day. So that kind of a thing I just disagree with completely because you're talking about the centre-halves right now because Fabian Schär's been suspended. That was your context for it. We know we needed a centre-half in the summer anyway. But if Schär hadn't got a red card, would he have even spoken about it? And he said that I think Newcastle will miss out on Europe like they did last season. We did finish in the European positions last season, Carragher. We just missed out because Manchester United somehow managed to do the impossible and beat Man City in the FA Cup final, probably because City were on a piss for 6 days. And that's why they managed to win. That's why we would have had Europe if not. And if we had Europe, I wonder whether Carragher's opinion would have changed. But Gary Neville has got us in as a European contender. So he hasn't got us finished in the top six, but European contender for the seventh spot there. He's got us there. So, we'll have to see if that's acceptable for us as a fan base. Personally, I think we should aim for top four. If we finish fifth, I'm happy with that. But if we finish 7th, I'm not really sure. Is that going to work for us? Depending on what happens if another team shithouses a win to a cup and gets that position, who knows? So relegated teams, I totally disagree with the 3 different selections I've got there. I think Forest time could be up the flirt of the trapdoor way too much, and this could be the season that they go. I'd like the look of Ipswich for a bit during the Liverpool game. I thought they were all right. I think Delap looks tidy up front, but I think maybe the squad isn't maybe strong enough to last the rigors of Premier League football. You get tanked a couple of times, the heads could drop. I think Southampton were poor in general against us. They couldn't finish a sentence if our gift wrapped them a full stop. The weird shithouse tactics and antics by their players and their supporters is very odd. The reek of a Sheffield United to me, and I have a feeling that Southampton will go down. And to be honest with you, the way the fans have behaved thus far, would say fucking cheerio, like Jacob Murphy, be glad to see the back of you. Leicester could be something or nothing, depending on what happens. But the fact they're still relying on 37-year-old Jamie Vardy to lead the line and get goals maybe is a worry for them, because his body will pack up as the season goes on. So I do argue with where they've put Newcastle in terms of Jamie Carragher. I think West Ham have had a great window, but 1 to 11, I think Newcastle United have a better 11 than West Ham. I really do. Jared Bowen is an unbelievable footballer, and he would get an R11. There's no doubt about that on that right-hand side. But outside of that, I don't think that start 11 for West Ham is better than Newcastle United start 11 with likes of Alexander Isak, Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton, Tonali, Sven Botman when he's fit, Nick Pope, Tino Livramento, even Lewis Hall on the other side, who's still a young player finding his way. Top-class players, Gordon, Isak, Barnes, those kind of players, goals, creativity. West Ham lacking those areas. Yes, they've got Fulkrug in, and they've got is it Koulos on the other side and then Bowen? That's a good front 3. But is it better than Newcastle's front 3? I would say no. Now, you may say I've got my blinkers on, but that's just fact. I don't think it is as good as Newcastle's front 3 if they're fully fit and on form. But time will tell. I think West Ham will be half decent. I think they'll maybe finish 8th or 9th, depending on how their season goes. But I don't think they'll finish in the top 7. I think that'll be a push for them this season. So top goal scorer, I hard disagree with Erling Haaland. The guy's a machine. He's already off the mark already. I think Isak will run him close if he stays fit for large periods. And, we started kicking the gear like he did last season. But yeah, I think Erling Haaland probably is going to be the top goal scorer. Impact signing is a difficult one because Carragher's gone for Pedro Neto. And I don't even know if he's going to play week in, week out. I mean, I did agree with Carragher when he said, why would you go to Chelsea as a young player? Apart from the long contract and massive amounts of money. So there was parts of what you said I did agree with you, Jamie, to be fair. But, the Pedro Neto one is a little bit hypocritical of what you've just said about Chelsea. Chelsea are a bit of a basket case of a football club. The wheels are already coming off. The disharmony is already radiating through the world of football with the Raheem Sterling statement, the way they're treating the academy players like Conor Gallagher and Chalobah and people like that, as I said before. It's not good enough. The loophole FC is what they are. The Premier League have allowed it to happen. And I don't think Neto will even start most games. So being an impact sign, I'm not too sure. Dominic Solanke, Neville's gone for. Now, I like Solanke, but I don't think he's a 65 million quid player. I don't think he's a 70 million pound centre-half either, but that's just the world of football inflation. But big pressure on Solanke. He's got big boots to fill in terms of Harry Kane, even though Richarlison tried last season and failed miserably. They will still look at Solanke to fill those Kane boots, and a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I hope he does well for what it's worth, but I think Spurs should have aimed a little bit higher, a little bit more established. Maybe someone like an Osimhen. Yes, I know he would have cost big money, but I think that could just give Spurs that finishing touch to cement themselves in the top 4. Spurs are Spursy. They're already looked a bit ropey against Leicester, putting against better opposition than Leicester. No disrespect, the wheels could come off. So Spurs could be anything from top 4 to 8th, really. They're so hard to predict. I do love Ange. I think he's a brilliant manager. I love the way he speaks. I love the way he dealt with the Basuma situation. He's class in the glass. But I just think the Spurs do miss in key areas. Love Maddison as a player, but again, he could blow hot and cold. Injuries could get to him. You don't know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where Spurs come back in terms of this season, if they can cement the top 4. There's loads of us chasing it. We're chasing it. Spurs are chasing it. Villa are chasing it. West Ham obviously fancy a dabble at it with the signings that they've made, but it is going to be a really, really difficult task to finish in the top 4. I think Newcastle will just miss out and finish 5th if we keep everybody fit and play the way we can play. So the player to watch, I do agree with Carragher 100% of this. Yankuba Minter. We already seen a little cameo of him. He looked absolutely brilliant for Brighton at the weekend. He got an assist. pace, flying into tackles, pressing, everything we're looking for in a right winger, ironically enough. And I've said this before, and I know some of you Miggy fans will be in the comments, telling me, oh, Miggy Amron's great. He smiles a lot, Chris, and he's got warm eyes, but he doesn't have any end product, guys. We should have got rid of the bloke when we could have sold him for good money. We should have got rid of some other players. We could have sold him for good money. We should not have let this kid leave the football club, because this kid was the right winger, I think, that we probably wanted to get in this transfer window. So we're now going to go and probably loan somebody with a view of spending 30 million quid on them after we've made 30 odd million quid to sell a player to Brighton who probably would have done that job for us. So I agree with Carragher in that regard. I think Yankuba Minter will have a great season. And I just hope to fuck Newcastle have put a sell-on clause into this contract, because I think this kid is destined for bigger things than Brighton. No disrespect. I like Brighton. I think they're a really good side, and I think their manager as well, which I'll get into in a minute, is definitely one to watch. There's no doubt about that at all. But going back to the situation of the players, yeah, 100%. Yankuba Minter, I agree with that one. Timber, you're in Timber, says Neville. I don't know if you just picked that one out of the fucking sky, to be honest with you. Looks a good player. Obviously had injuries and stuff, but I just don't know whether that's going to be the case. Now, the manager to watch, I disagree with this one, because all they've done is put their blinkers on and try to appease the fan bases of the clubs they used to play for. So for Carragher to say onslaught, I don't know whether the manager to watch was just a full contextual view of keep an eye on him because it could go good or bad. If that was the case, maybe he's right. But if there's manager to watch in terms of having a great season, I think it's very presumptuous to think onslaught is just going to roll in or slot in, so to speak, pun, and just be a great manager for Liverpool. That's a really hard job for anybody to take in general. It was a hard job for Jurgen Klopp to take. But to follow somebody who's been so successful, I would say, look at David Moyes after Ferguson, look at Emery after Wenger. This is a really, really difficult thing to do. And, both Carragher and Neville were pundits when that happened, when those transitional changes happened. They saw it go spectacularly wrong. They saw the wheels fall off for these managers taking over, these legacy managers, these transformative managers that did so well for the football club. And whatever you think about Jurgen Klopp, especially towards the end of his tenure when he was being gobby, he was a brilliant manager, and he got the best out of that football club. He won the first league title for 20 odd years. We won silverware after that as well at the top level with Liverpool. He's a great manager. Now, he says he's having a break from management altogether. It'd be interesting if the Barca Real Madrid jobs come up, though, later on in the season. I wonder whether you'll just see that turkey teeth smile reappear with a nice tan in Spain, possibly, but we'll keep our eye on that one. But yeah, that was his manager to watch. I'm not too sure about that, Carragher. Take your blinkers off. Neville's, Ten Hag, Slot, and Maresca. So he's just fucking throwing mud at the wall and hope it sticks, really. I would watch Ten Hag lose his job by Christmas is what I'd probably say, Neville, because I think he was lucky not to lose his job last season in terms of slot, copy and paste with Carragher and Maresca. Now, Maresca, a Chelsea manager is such an endangered species. You might as well have fucking David Attenborough in the bushes narrating the season for them. Who would want to be a Chelsea manager? It doesn't matter how good you are. Pochettino last year, got them back into Europe, even though they were a basket case, and then they shoved him out the door at the point where he left because he had enough. I think he's over in America, I think, is Pochettino now. But, he's a really good coach, and that wasn't good enough for them. Ancelotti's won silverware for them. That's not good enough for them under their own ownership. A Chelsea manager lifespan is like a fucking fruit fly. So the only thing, again, I'd watch Maresca do is probably lose his job. It's a big ask to ask a guy who did really well in the Championship with Leicester last season to go into a poison chalice cesspit of ridiculous expectations in Chelsea with 400 fucking players he's got to keep happy, which he's already failing miserably at, because you can't keep that level of players happy. It's ridiculous. The squad depth in that Chelsea squad is ridiculous. And the way they've been able to play this system, the Premier League have let them do it, is pathetic. And it needs to be sorted out toot fucking sweet, because it's embarrassing. It really, really is. But Chelsea could be in real financial problems if a lot of these players who, now Maresca doesn't fancy or just wants rid of, and no fucker will take them because they're on 300 grand a week or 200 grand a week, they could sit and see their huge contracts out and bleed Chelsea fucking dry, a la Winston Bogart all them years ago. So this isn't something that Chelsea haven't done before, once bitten, twice shy, guys. So yeah, for me, I think Maresca probably, again, will be lucky to see the season out. But going back to the main point of this video, that's just my kind of take on this situation with these two. Going back to the main point of the video, I think to write Newcastle United off, fair enough, Carragher, write us off at your peril. We thrive on that as a fan base and as a football club. Eddie Howe will have that probably up in the changing room, showing the players what you think about them, and that'll motivate them. Use it as fuel, lads, to prove Carragher wrong and finish in those top 6 positions. And I think Newcastle will finish 5th, but there's loads of mitigating circumstances that need to happen for that. We need to get 2 players in. We need that centre half. We need that right winger, no doubt about it. 2 massive holes in the football squad of Newcastle United to see this season right. We need fitness. We need better fitness and stamina than we had last season. Way too many niggly injuries. That's what Bunce has been brought in to do. Let's hope he gets the job done in that regard. So if we can have our best players, our class lads, as the True Faith guys say, if we can have the class lads available for the majority of the season, for 80% of the season, Joe Linton, Bruno, Pope, Tonali, these kind of players, key players, Gordon, if those players are fully fit for the majority of the season, we will finish in the top 6 of the Premier League. And that is a good season for Newcastle. Top 4, I think, is where the club should aim. I think we need Champions League this season to keep the likes of Bruno and Isak. And I would really worry if we don't get it. I'm predicting 5th, so we probably won't get it. And I just wonder whether you can convince Isak and Gordon and Bruno and Botman and people like that to stay on if we're our Champions League club. But it's a huge season for Newcastle United. I think we'll do much better than Jamie Carragher has indicated that we do. I'm not surprised that Sky wrote us off. That's what they do. They'll never have me on because I don't fit the stereotype. But hey-ho, I'm not bothered. I'm coming here to give you my opinion and I talk honestly and openly about what I think. So if that's the kind of thing you guys like, why not subscribe to the channel? Help us grow. We're closing in hopefully on 8,500 soon, on to 9. I've got some belter prizes for the 9K subscriber mark and the 10K subscriber mark. So keep it ever more. Recommend to family and friends. Like the video. Let's have a great season, hopefully, guys. We'll be back this week with a post-match preview. For the match preview, the post-match analysis, any transfer rumor videos. And if we actually sign a fucking player, we'll come on and do a reaction video about that too. Have a cracker wherever you are, everybody. We'll see you later.